Good afternoon, Howard Wiig, Code Green, ThinkTech Hawaii. Do we have a show for you today? Not only Mr. Ryan Rutenchroer, who we've had before, he is Mr. Green Building for Hawaii, but two guests from Science Without Borders from Brazil, Miss Ana Clara Francisco de Souza Ferreira. That's Anna.
Yeah.
And Giulia Piazza Fernandez. How can you go wrong with names like that? This is going to be exciting. And they are here as Ryan's clients, or maybe Ryan is their client.
I'm their client.
Yeah. And what we're getting here is another example of the infusion of outside from America ideas and energy coming to this country. And the more I go around the sun, the more I see that America is such a vital and vibrant and prosperous country, largely because of these new ideas that keep coming to us. And we, being an open society, we embrace those ideas when they're good. And I think you're going to really see that these are some good ideas. So let's start by introducing. You want to,
Actually,
yes.
Okay, let's let ladies go first.
Yeah. Anna, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself and your background and what in the world brings you all the way from Brazil to Hawaii?
So my name is Anna, and I'm from a small city from Brazil, and called Itapira, in the state of São Paulo. And my university is in Campinas. And I came to improve my English and to improve my knowledge in architecture in general, and also to live to Brazil more technologies and to improve the idea of sustainable architecture, because we need this. In Brazil, we have a lot of natural resource, and we have to improve more the knowledge is how to preserve and how to build the buildings and transform the cities with a green buildings.
Mm-hmm.
Made in São Paulo, that is a big city and needs with urgence.
Mm-hmm.
The ideas that is talking a lot of that Americans talk about here. We need these ideas there.
And your personal background is your education?
So, I here in the United States.
Back in Brazil and then over here.
So, my back education in Brazil, I'm studying architecture and urban planning.
Urban planning.
Yeah, and there I did a lot of internships. I'm the 4th year in Brazil of architecture, and I like to study. There we can improve our knowledge mainly in urban plan designs, and also how to improve the space for the people, in comfort, in projects, is that it?
Okay, and what brings you to America now, specifically with Ryan?
Because in our scholarship, we have to do a summer internship. That is very good for us, and came to me the idea to do a sustainable architecture, because it's the future of the world. So I started to searching about a lot of research in the United States, and one research in Hawaii came my attention. Sorry about that. I'm sorry about my English, because I'm improving that. And so I came here with a big opportunity. Because a big opportunity for me, working with Ryan and Martin in this a big project, in a sustainable project for me is.
And how about the fact that Ryan and I, when we talk about architecture, have you heard the phrase hyper-localization? No, I guess not. That means local architecture, and then hyper means local on steroids, super, super local. So what Ryan and I are interested in is getting very, very Hawaii specific and asking exactly what we need to do with homes and with high-rises to blend in with our beautiful climate to the maximum extent possible. So is a lot of, I know Brazil is a huge, huge country, but is a lot of Brazil's climate kind of a little bit similar to Hawaii's, and maybe that's another reason for your being here? That this is, goes to both of you.
Yeah.
Yeah, I believe Brazil is a huge country, so we have different kinds of climate. For example, in the north part, maybe it's more similar to Hawaii.
Yeah.
But the south part is more, maybe it's more cooler than here on the winter, especially in the winter. But basically, it's almost the same. Yeah, it's almost the same.
So that's another reason, I think, for being in Hawaii. If you went to Minnesota, which you know, is very, very northern, cold climate, it wouldn't have the same attraction for you. Yeah. So, Giulia, tell us a little bit about yourself, too.
Yeah, so my name is Giulia, and I'm an exchange student from Brazil, as you said. And I've been working with Ryan and Martin on the Easy Breezy project. Back in Brazil, I used to study architecture at Curitiba, which is one of the greenest cities in our country, by the way. And I came here with a scholarship from Brazil, which called Science Without Borders, to improve my knowledge about sustainable architecture, especially sustainable architecture and urbanism. Yeah.
And the knowledge could flow both ways because, Ryan, are you familiar with Curitiba, the city?
I have heard of him, yes.
It's an incredible city. Before we get into specifics, can you describe some of the green features of Curitiba?
Sure. Curitiba, especially the buses there, the public transportation. I think it's an example for this island because it's entirely buses, so we only have buses.
No
and
cars?
It's yes, we have cars, but public transportation, buses are the only ones. And we have like 3.2 million people, so we only have the buses for this whole amount of people. And it works very well. Yeah.
So it's
It's
very
still
easy.
improving, but it works
Say
very
in
well.
almost any neighborhood of the city, you can just walk out of your house and walk a block or two, and boom, there's a bus stop, and boom, the buses are going to come pretty darn soon.
They're all connected. So like you can pay you pay when you get in, and then you can kind of circulate the whole city, and you can stop by wherever you want and drop in or drop off wherever you want.
Yeah.
And there is I think they try to remove causes of delay, So they call it it's not like a subway, but on earth, like on land, on the surface. Yeah. So they try to be as fast as they can.
Yeah, probably Honolulu has one of the best bus services in the nation, but I think if we compared with your city, we'd be just going very slowly.
Yeah, for example, the station platforms level, it's on the same level of the bus. So then people can drop in and drop off.
How about people with how about wheelchairs?
Faster.
They can just wheel on?
Exactly.
Or women with baby carriages, they can just zoom in. Yeah.
So there's not the delay of putting the bus down and then people going,
Okay. Well, here we've barely gotten warmed up. We haven't even had Ryan open his mouth, and we already have to go to a commercial. So we will be back very soon. ThinkTech Hawaii Code Green.
Hi, I'm Ethan Allen. I host Likeable Science on ThinkTech Hawaii. And I do this because I care about science literacy in Hawaii. I want to spread the understanding that science is a vital and interesting part of everyone's life. I want to make sure the broadest possible spectrum of people understand the beauty and the value of science and realize that science plays out each and every day of their lives. I want you to understand that science is fun. So we bring onto this show each week guests who are scientists, from astronomers to zoologists, and we talk about what they do and how they do it. But most importantly, we talk about why you should care about their work, why you should see that their work has value and impact on your life. So I hope you'll join us Fridays, 1 p.m. here on ThinkTech Hawaii. You can watch us via live stream. You can watch us recorded on Olelo, and you can see us each week. We hope you'll join us.
Good afternoon again, Howard Wiig, Code Green ThinkTech Hawaii. What a glamorous program we have today. Mr. Ryan Rutenchroer with Ana Clara Franciscusine de Souza Ferreira, or words to that effect, and Giulia Piazza Fernandez. There are Science Without Borders students who are blessing our blessed shores. Ryan, why don't you tell us a little bit how all this came together here?
Well, this is collaborative work, and so I want to say that this is really an honor to be here and talk story with you about a subject that I know we both feel passionate about, and we're actually missing a member that should be here live today, and that is Martin Despong. He is one of the most innovative architects both in Germany and mainland America and right here in Hawaii right now. And so we are actually doing work together, a global collaboration as we speak. And this work that Anna and Giulia and myself with Martin are collaborating on is this idea of architecture that is easy breezy, meaning that we're embracing the locality. We're embracing in Hawaii here the trade winds, or very site-specific architecture, which leads me to say that we're also taking our inspiration from the ancient Hawaiian idea of the Ahupuaa, which in Hawaii in the ancient day was a way for the people to manage their resources. In fact, manage their resources in a way where they could support a very large population without having to rely on outside resources coming in. And so we're taking this, so the Ahupuaa on the ancient days, as I know and Anna and Giulia have studied with me, it was how the Hawaiian people managed their resources from the mountain, from the top of the mountain, all the way to the sea, and really was the watershed, so the water. So we're taking this idea and we're incorporating it into architecture, into building design.
And we have a graphic up here.
Yes, so that's our logo. That's our logo. So Martin and myself, we're forming a company, Ahupuaa Development, and that's where we're taking our inspiration. It's architecture that's inclusive of all of these resources that we need. So ultimately what we're doing is we're creating buildings that can create a city and a community where it's actually regenerative, where we're actually restoring the land, we're putting back into the land. And we're able to do that because we're managing our resources, our water, our energy, plants that we want to have both around the building and as part of the actual building envelope itself. In the building, the walls, the ceilings, and so that's the very exciting work that we're doing together. So can you put on slide 2, please? The building in particular that we're working on is a single-family residence that we're calling the Country Seed. And what Martin and myself and Anna and Giulia, we envision this as being like the ultimate Hawaii farmhouse. And it's it has repurposed shipping containers. That's a very hot subject, but we feel that this is a good basic building block for us to work with. And I also have to give a shout out to Martin Despong's spring semester graduate students at UH who have worked to develop this idea, the schematic design, and now what we're carrying on as a global collaborative through Ahupuaa development is actual design development and construction drawings for this particular design. And so I am the client of Anna and Giulia, who are doing production work, and I have to say I'm very impressed with their level of work and their knowledge already, what they're bringing to the project. But we have a long ways to go still. I have a long ways to go as the construction manager for this design.
You know, at first I wasn't seeing a shipping container at all, but maybe this next graphic, because I look at this big open
That's
room.
the roof. So we're envisioning the use of a product called the Eco Shade. It's a louver that's adjustable. It has a servo motor that drives the louvers from full open to full closed, and when it's closed, I understand it does create a very resilient shell, and open it just lets the breeze go through. That's the easy breezy part. And not only that, but if you look in the graphic, basically the whole building opens up. So this is shipping container architecture like hasn't really been seen before. We're not using these containers as, let's say, a metal cave, but we're using it, the structural components, and we're opening it up. We're opening it up entirely. In fact, this is not new architecture at all. This is inspiration directly from, well, you can go all the way back to Japan. The traditional buildings of Japan open up like this. So we're very excited. This proof of concept we're getting to develop right now with you, Howard, through the exciting developments in the code, in the building code, that's even allowing us to do this now.
So I'm seeing, I think, a lot of great big sliding doors in there, and is it two containers back to back, and then there's sliding doors? The walls have changed to sliding doors. Is that how it works?
It's actually 4 containers on a platform in a pinwheel fashion that when it's closed, you have a private interior, the container itself, a very private interstitial space that we're planning to use for our most private area of the building, and also that's providing our resilient areas for storm protection. And then, of course, you have an exterior lanai that's completely open and is very much, I feel, a vital part of a building is to have a lanai that's that in-between place, the in-between place of nature and inside of the home.
So this is what we're looking at now?
We're looking at the inside of the courtyard, looking through one of the 4 containers that make up the private space. So this is looking into a bedroom, and of course everything is wide open right now, and as needed you can close up the space. Ultimate Hawaii farmhouse. And the other exciting thing that Martin has developed through his research is the idea of using the floor as the furniture. So again, not a new idea. I'm familiar with it in the form of the tatami mat in a Japanese home, but Martin has the floor folding into different structures that form furniture, and also we envision using the underfloor portion for vital storage. So that's how you get these wonderful big open spaces.
And so the containers are raised, I gather.
They are raised, yes. So in fact, that's what we're really hoping to perfect over the summer is our floor, is our foundation structure. And it's quite a bit of work, the details. So as Martin has pointed out, it's easy to just make it work. But now this is why I call on people who have high level of architectural research. Now we want to make it beautiful.
Which is where these young ladies come in.
That is correct. And which they're doing a fine job already to really look into these. So architecture, it's really exciting. I look at it like music, and we're going in and we're making it more beautiful all the time. And you know, you're adjusting things, you're you know, the details that they have to draw. Actually, it's quite a bit of work because you have a lot of elements in play. We want this structure to actually pass the code, building code, and perform well to the highest of standards and be very energy efficient, because we all know we have to get our energy use down so we can go on these renewable sources.
Well, two things come to mind immediately regarding codes. When you raise the structure, even if you're in a floodplain, now you're compliant there. And also when you have a raised floor, at least some of the breeze under there will be able to flow through, and that'll be an additional cooling effect. Yeah.
That's true.
And then there's also the seismic code to guard against earthquakes. So I would think you'd need to anchor these very, very carefully into the soil and anticipate quite an earthquake there. But I think that would be fairly easy also.
And the other point that I would like to make is that I'm also very much involved in transportable architecture. We spoke about that on the last program, the last time I was here with you on Code Green. And so I feel that this is a way to look at development for Hawaii, that we build. So the code requires that we build for permanence, but I say to build for permanence, let's build for transportability so we can be very light on the lands. We can have the building place mise en place right where we need it, and then if we need to move the building, it's very easy to move both all of it or part of it, and that allows us to design for long life cycles. So so I'm a professional boat builder by trade, and so I think the way that I like to think of it is it's your house, you can dock it where you want to dock it, and you move it to another berthing or slip as needed. And that could be as resilient and as permanent as any other traditional or conventional type of architecture.
And you know, something that's in the headlines day after day after day after day is homelessness, and what to do about the homeless. And inevitably we come down to very, very reasonably priced housing.
And that's why I don't look at the homeless issue being only for a certain number of people on the island. It's really all of us. So that's what I want to say in a nutshell. Any one of us can be out there. Any one of us can find our circumstances where the only place we may be able to live is in the park, is right here in the park. And so then we say, well, that in order to address that issue, one of the things we have to do is we have to design for housing that is available to everybody. And then the cost of the housing, not just constructing the house, but also it's designing for long life cycles, so it is efficient to operate and maintain, and that's how we keep the costs down. That's one of the ways that we keep the costs down.
Yeah. Now our next graphic does not exactly look like low income housing. It looks quite thoroughly beautiful.
Indeed it is. And so, like I said, all housing is an issue that touches all of us, both rich and poor. And cost is very relative, but the need for shelter is universal.
So what's going on inside here? Can you kind of guide us around where are the containers? Are we looking at one container?
You're looking at the corner of two containers. You're looking at the corner of two containers. This is with everything open, and this is looking through the central courtyard. So you can see some of the modular furniture that is in the photo. You can see, or this rendering, you can see some of the areas that we have intended for agriculture as part of the building envelope. And so a really beautiful rendering. Again, this is from Martin's spring semester research.
And you mentioned vegetation. Is that green thing in the middle there? Or where does the vegetation?
I think that's
come in?
actually where we wanted to have Kalo and an aquaponic type of
Kalo,
environment.
yeah,
So this
yeah,
is
yeah.
looking at a lanai. And the lanai being around the entire edge of the structure, and a netting on the very exterior. And we even, Martin would love to be able to repurpose fisher net. So the net that is a bane, the gill nets that are in the ocean right now that are a real bane. Before they end up on the beach, they do a lot of damage in marine environment. We can, this may be a way to repurpose that, but I actually like the stainless steel option. That was my vote, the good stainless steel. So, and then you can see, of course, one of the logistics or one of the details that we have a challenge on is designing for these heavy doors. And we're going to traditional Japanese architecture for our inspiration on how to solve that. In Japan, those are called the amado, or the storm shutters that would go around the building.
Okay, and then getting back to the exterior there on the stainless steel grid or the net, you would be growing vines or?
Indeed we could, yes, indeed we could. And that's an excellent way to incorporate a living wall into the building.
Okay, well, on that cheery note, we've already wrapped up another segment. This is Code Green, ThinkTech Hawaii, back in a minute with our exciting wrap-up.
Hi, I'm Donna Blanchard. I'm the host of Center Stage here on ThinkTech Hawaii. Center Stage airs every Wednesday at 2 o'clock, and of course you can check out our archives on YouTube or on ThinkTech Hawaii anytime you like. Why should you do that? Because this is an arts show that I believe is making a difference in lives. We talk with artists of various ilk. We talk with painters and writers, playwrights, novelists, poets, sculptors, dancers, you name it, directors, actors, of course. And we don't only talk about what people do, but we talk about how they do it. And my favorite part of the conversation, we talk about why they do it. And it's really common on this show to hear people say, wow, I didn't think about it that way. And it's very common to hear people afterwards who have seen the show say the same thing. And I hear all the time that people are inspired by the conversations that we have. So why don't you join us and be inspired too? That's Center Stage on Wednesdays at 2 o'clock. We'll see you Center Stage.
Good afternoon again. Howard Wiig, Code Green, ThinkTech Hawaii. We are on our final segment with our Science Without Borders scholars from Brazil. And they are the employers, in a sense, of Ryan Rutenchroer, a locally famous Mr. Green building. And Ryan, why don't you take us through the vision that you have and that these ladies have and how it's all coming together here in Hawaii and what they can take back to Brazil with them.
Well, we have a vision for the future, and that is that we can go back to this idea of the Ahupuaa, where in our islands and even parts of our islands can be resilient, can be self-sustaining. We can have a large population. We can live well in our community, and one of the ways we're going to get there is through the buildings that we design, both what we design and also how we take care of our buildings that we have already got.
Well, these container buildings that you were just showing, I'm an energy type guy. I can say that they will be using just a minuscule amount of energy, because you've got all the daylighting you need. I'm gathering maybe the cooking, some of the cooking is outside. You've got your garden outside, and you certainly don't need air conditioning. You've got the trade winds coming through. So you would just stick a few photovoltaic cells on the roof and boom, you've got a zero net energy building on your hands.
That's one way to do them, but of course, there are some periods like we are experiencing right now here on our island where you may need air conditioning. Thank goodness for air conditioning. So we do have insulated areas of our structure that can be furnished with supplemental AC as needed. But the key word is as needed, not wasteful where we don't need it.
Yeah, I certainly took refuge in an air-conditioned building yesterday when the storm front was to our north and completely blocking the trades off. And it was, I swear it was 90% humidity yesterday.
Yes,
Yeah.
heat index of 100 for people that are not in the islands right now. Very hot and muggy.
Very rare also. So give us some more details about this vision and how we're going to make it happen.
Well, Anna and Giulia and Martin and myself are doing the construction documents, and I'm moving forward as construction manager to put together the single-level farmhouse that you've seen in the previous images that we've shown, because eventually when we've perfected that, we want to look at higher density. We want to look at going up. And so we have on our second phase, and if you want to show slide 10, please, our Stratosphere Lanai Grove, it's called.
My
So
goodness.
the country container home, or the single family residence that we are showing as the country seed, is the seed that we're planting. So ultimately, once we've perfected that, we can go into an even more ambitious multifamily type of a structure, and this is looking at the stacked containers to form the Stratosphere Lanai Grove. And this is, Martin and I both, and you as well, Howard, we share this vision that our islands, we can be more self-sustaining, more resilient, if we can just embrace what we have here. Most of the time we have these wonderful trade winds, and we have a wonderful climate that it can bless us with the food that we need if we are using all of our surfaces and environment in the most productive manner, and that's managing like how they did in ancient times, the Ahupuaa. This is how we can create new jobs and good jobs, and something for everyone to do to take care of our new garden cities. So that's what my vision of the future. We can have even high density, we can have a big city, but it does not have to harm our environment, and we can keep the country.
Well, let me point out that when Captain Cook first arrived here in 1776, he and subsequent sailors sailing around the islands estimated the Hawaiian population at about 500,000. That's a lot of people, and not only, of course, were they self-sustaining, there was nobody you couldn't import, export anything, but these sailors on Captain Cook's ship, because of malnutrition, they were perhaps 5 feet, 6 feet, or 5'6" tall, and their teeth were falling out and they were scrawny. The average Hawaiian male was way over 6 feet tall and big and muscular. Why? They had an almost perfect diet, perfect mixture of fruits, vegetables, and meat. The meat was mainly fish. They're extremely healthy people. So you're kind of envisioning a semi-return to that, where we're growing our own very, very healthy
advancement
food.
of that, where we can use technology that is available now that may not have been available then to achieve our goals.
Yeah, all kinds of exciting vertical agricultural experiments going on, hydroponics, aquaponics, and so forth. And I think you're looking to incorporate this into your design.
Indeed, we are. And that's what's exciting about the company that we're forming, Ahupuaa Development, is that I see this, in order to make this possible, we have to have a team. And our team cannot just be architects or construction managers. We have to have real estate involved. So how we market and sell, and how we, lease and own. So we can make this accessible for everyone in Hawaii. We want to look at how we operate the building. So what happens now, we have the building. I would love to see 300+ year life cycles for our Hawaii buildings like we have in other places in the world. And so it can just, why could it not just keep getting better?
Mhm. Plus, as I understand it, we have a huge surplus of old shipping containers around now.
Yes.
Worldwide, yeah.
Well, no doubt there is a trade imbalance,
Mhm.
and that may have something, but the shipping container itself, it is proven in other jurisdictions where they're using this as housing. It makes an excellent structural frame. A metal box or a metal cave may not be the best thing in Hawaii, but when you open it up in this easy breezy way, it just really makes a lot of sense.
Mhm. And it's structurally strong also. I mean, think of that. You're stacked, 10 high on a ship, loaded with these heavy goods. You've got to be really, really, really strong.
Yes.
Yeah.
So it's the connections, the structural connections, that is one of the aspects that Anna and Giulia are helping me to, that's one of our questions is, how do we stack these containers? Of course, it's very different stacking the containers on a ship versus stacking them in a permanent or semi-permanent manner for a code-approved dwelling.
And we've only got a few minutes left, and our young ladies have been woefully silent. Any wrap-up? Do either of you specialize in anything or have any input as to what we've seen in the slides here?
I think it has been a really good experience to work with Martin and Ryan because we have been learning more about this easy breezy way of project, and I think it is also interesting to Brazil, like what we can learn and give back to Brazil, because in Brazil we don't actually use our conditioning that much. It's not very common, but we don't use that not because we can, but because of the way we construct. We make our constructions. So now I think with this experience, we are learning more about how to deal with the air conditioning and how to keep everything easy breezy.
Yeah, and that's interesting that you want to set aside a little portion of this for days like we had over this past weekend. And again, even I, as a local person, I went and sought refuge in air-conditioned spaces. So we've got 2 minutes more. Any words of wisdom?
I think that in Hawaii, we could learn also how to think in community. Like, we have to live in Brazil also, this idea, because we use it to think like more in ourselves, so think in community and think how to improve the architecture for the population with a sustainable architecture, and reusing the materials that we have is a big future.
And there's a concept of resource efficiency, where you have man-made things out there, and instead of putting them into the dump, you reuse them or repurpose them in some way. And again, this is just a perfect example of that, because these containers, again, are strong. They've got to be strong. So now you've already dealt with your structural issue, that including stacking. They're made to be stacked. You'd have to do it in a slightly different way.
Yes, and that's one of the challenges that we're happy to be working on in our global collaborative research that we're doing.
Oh, now here's a slide we haven't seen yet. What is this all about?
Oh, this is a model. This is a scale model that Martin's graduate students have constructed, and this is it lit up at night. So this is envisioning the Lanai Grove, the easy breezy high rises made of repurposed shipping containers. This is us seeing it at night. So like the bamboo grove, this is like the high-rise grove. And it's very easy breezy. This would be like a summer night. Everything is opened up to catch the trade wind. Just a real beautiful, another very beautiful photograph and rendering by the graduate students of Martin's spring semester class.
I think I'm seeing 10 containers stacked up there.
Yes, this is
Wow.
like a 9 or a 10 story, like a mid-rise
Mhm.
tower.
Wow. Would you anticipate an elevator up there, or?
Yes, it'd be a separate supplemental structure, the circulation. And of course, it would all have to be done so we can meet the fire codes. And that's another part of our research, another exciting phase of our research.
Well, let me say, as a codes guy, we have a lot of steel frame structures that our production builders build, but the steel is only about that thick. And in a fire, the firemen go into such a structure and you think, oh, steel, no problem. No problem, because it starts buckling. So the firemen learn, as soon as they see that wall beginning to tremble a little bit, they've got 5 minutes and they're out of there, because the whole thing is going to collapse. But with containers, I mean, this is strong, thick steel there. So you partially solved your fire problem right there in terms
Partially,
of the
yes,
structure.
but not completely.
Yeah, yeah.
So it is the fireproof or the intumescent coating that it's still very new technology that we have at our fingertips. This is an exciting first phase in concept, and proving a concept, experimental architecture. I love it.
And any final words from our ladies? Are you finalized here? Or I think they are, yeah. So give us your great grand summary here, Ryan.
That to look for us, look for our development, the containers in architecture. I think it's something that is here to stay, and not just what Martin and I and Anna and Giulia will be working on, but other architects as well. And how I'm ultimately seeing buildings that are not necessarily container, but that it's using those same dimensions, standardized dimensions, all of our furniture, everything that we live with. So the idea of a house or a condo is not something that's fixed, that you move in and out of, but more like that's your home that you own, and when you move, you take it with you. It's how it plugs in or docks or it berths in its new home. Those are the exciting challenges that we as experimental architects are now working on. And so look for us.
I'm seeing, again, with the homeless problem, we keep, the city and the state keep agonizing. This is something that could be completed in a very short time, because we've got excess containers out there. I know we do.
Indeed, and we have a need for housing, at all economic levels in our community.
So, in concluding, how does somebody get hold of you, Brian?
They can go to my website, Ahupuaa, AHUPUAA Development, DEVEL development.com. And I have a web page there. It's in development, and I have more interesting news to be released through that outlet.
Okay. So thank you so much, Anna, Giulia, and Ryan, for a very scintillating program which may shape our future in housing. Thank you so much, and welcome to Hawaii.
Thank you. Aloha.
You.